Very good morning, my dear students of class 12th. Welcome to English teacher class. Yes, you please open page number 80 of the chapter number 7, A Gorilla in the Guest Room. Now here, page number 80, the second last paragraph. Within 12 months, and Pongo had almost doubled. Its size had become double. His size became doubled. Had almost doubled. And I felt it was now time to try, by fair means or foul, anyhow, by crook or by hook or by crook, to obtain a mate for him. By hook or by crook, by fair means or foul, to obtain a mate for him. Mate, female. Unless they lack finances, I have no use for zoos that acquire animals purely for exhibition and make no effort to provide them with a mate. I have no use for zoos that acquire animals purely for exhibition. He did not want to exhibit the animal and make no effort to provide them with a mate. The author did not think about the mate at all. He did not want to exhibit the animals. Only he wanted to conserve the wildlife. This applies particularly to apes. The problem does not arise while they are young, for they accept the human beings around them as their adopted. If slightly eccentric family, deviation from the norm. Then comes the time when they are so powerful that you do not, if you have any intelligence, treat them in the same intimate way. When a gorilla, a chimpanzee, or an orangutan ape at the age of 3 or 4 pulls your legs from under you or jumps from a considerable height onto the back of your neck. It tests your stamina to the full, and it is done because you are the only companion with whom he can play. If he is left on his own and is a nice-natured ape, he will try to play the same games with you when he is 11 or 12. The narrator qualifies here the ape's characteristics. Same games with you when he is 11 or 12. This means a broken leg or broken neck. So if this friendly, exuberant, excited animal is kept on his own and deprived of both the company of his own kind and that of human beings, you can hardly be surprised if he turns into a morose and melancholy creature. Sad, nervous, not wanting to see an Pongo degenerate. that I have seen in many Jews, including some that had ample resources for providing a maid, I thought the time had come to try to procure a wife for Anpongo. I thought the time had come. It is time. It was time to come to try to procure a wife for Anpongo, even though I knew that our funds would probably not stretch that far. I knew that the funds would be very less, probably not stretch that far. The narrator telephoned the dealer from whom he had gotten Anpongo and asked him about the possibilities of obtaining a female gorilla. He told me that he had just been offered one, a year or so younger than Anpongo. 1 year younger. A year or so younger than Anpongo. But now, owing to the political situation in Africa, the price had increased and he was asking 1500 pounds. The cost of Anpongo was 1200 pounds, but due to some political situation in Africa, the price had increased up to 1500 pounds. There followed 2 days of soul searching. I knew we could not afford that amount of money in a lump sum. It was very difficult for the author, for the narrator, to collect this amount, money in a lump sum, but we might be able to do it if it were spread over a period. If the ample time will be given, he will, however, manage it. Once again, I telephoned the dealer and asked him whether he would consider letting us have the animal on installment terms. Installment. To his credit and to my relief, he agreed and said that his representative would bring her over to Jersey in a week's time. He agreed. The whole zoo waited for that day with bated breath, feeling very anxious. They were very excited with bated breath. I, prompted by a slightly acrimonious, bitter conversation with my bank manager. I, prompted by a slightly acrimonious, means bitter conversation with my bank manager, spent the week by having a collecting box made over which hung the notice, "We have bought Nandy on the installment plan. Please help us to keep up the installments." This notice board was written. Please help us to keep up the installment. So Nandy arrived, crouched in a crate that I would have considered small for a squirrel. Too small crate. She, like Anpongo, appeared to be in a perfect condition. Her fur was glossy, she was fat, and her skin had a sheen full of attractive like satin, silk. But at first sight of her, it was her eyes that impressed me most. Her eyes impressed me more. And Pongo's eyes, as I have said, were small and deep set, calculating and full of humor. Nandy's eyes were large and lustrous. Glow. There was glow in her eyes. And when she looked sideways, she showed the whites of them. But they were frightened eyes. that did not look at you squarely. They were the eyes of an animal that had little experience of human beings. But even that limited experience had given her no reason to trust to respect them. When we released her from her cage, I could see the reason right across the top of her skull. Nandi was not familiar to human being. She did not like human being. When we released her from her cage, what is the reason? The writer, the author, the narrator elaborate here. When we released her from her cage, I could see the reason. Right across the top of her skull was a scar, the sign of a wound, which must have measured 6 or 7 inches in length. Obviously, when she was being caught, some over-enthusiastic and intrepid human, fearless human being had given her a blow with a machete, broad, heavy knife, machete, which had split her scalp like a razor slash. It must have been a glancing blow on her skull, would have been split into two, divided into two. With such an introduction to the human race, you could hardly blame Nandi for being a little antisocial. This was the reason that she became antisocial. This great slash was by now completely healed, and there was only the long white scar to be seen through the hair of her head, which reminded me of the curious, imitative, and quite unnecessary partings that so many Africans crave design in their hair with the aid of a razor. Which reminded me of the curious, imitative, and quite unnecessary partings. The sign, the slash, shows, and quite unnecessary parting that so many Africans design in their hair with the help of a razor. And after that, what happened? You will study in my next video. Thank you so much, students.